was thinking yesterday about the former greatness of Odell Beckham Jr. Just part of it is because I lost in the finals his rookie year. My opponent, Rachel Lynn, had him and this other, like, just a super team. I think she beat me by 80 points in the finals. It was ridiculous. But she drafted Beckham and she drafted a whole bunch of amazing players. And after that, I was just like, I got to draft Beckham if I can, because, if they crush me, I want them on my team. Beckham's first 3 seasons were historic at the time. And then he missed most of the 2017 season, and then he had another very impressive injury-shortened season in 2018 with the Browns. Starting in 2019, he started to fade. And you might attribute that to he switched to the Browns. Who knows? What's interesting is his last great season, calling 2018, when he had over 1,000 yards, 6 receptions, 77 receptions, 6 touchdowns in only 12 games. So he was easily on pace for something on par with what he had done or close to what he had done his first 3 seasons. That last great season was his age 26 season. I looked it up yesterday and I just thought, yeah, he was 26. I was thinking, yeah, I think there's other receivers who just kind of fell off at around that same time. And I don't like cherry picking, and this is not a podcast where I'm going to cherry pick. I'm going to put context around this, but bear with me. Michael Thomas, arguably an even greater start to his career. I mean, his first 4 seasons, I don't know about you, but after his first 3 seasons, and then after his 4th, it was insane. He was like a number 1, number 2 overall draft pick heading into 2020 after everything he had done. I mean, he was something that we had not seen, in my opinion, since Jerry Rice, in terms of the intensity of the incredible numbers at receiver. That this guy could, 4 years in, have over 5,000 yards, and over, I think he had close to 500 catches, maybe close to that. And the target share was huge, and over 30 touchdowns. And it was like, wow, if he just does this for 5 more years, he will be an all-time great. I mean, that's really where he was. And he started his career at his age 23 season. He started late. Incredible first 4 seasons, arguably the best opening 4 seasons of any wide receiver. I haven't looked up Jerry Rice's numbers recently. You can point that out to me if you want, if I'm wrong, that Rice was better in his first 4 seasons. Michael Thomas was that great. And then everything fell apart. And it was right after he got an extension, blah, blah, blah. But it was his age 26 season. That was his final great season. And then it all just collapsed. His body broke down, maybe his will. I know he sent that cryptic social media post, I think, around the heading into in the middle of the 2021 season. I think he was dealing with mental health issues, which, fortunately he got through that and was able to continue to play after that. But this is someone who went from potential all-time great to forgotten. And last season was the first season that he was essentially out of football, not due to injury, but just out of football. I mean, it's that recent. And then I was thinking about Dez Bryant. I don't know how, but I thought, man, Dez Bryant kind of fell off the cliff too. Like, he was amazing until he suddenly wasn't. It really went from amazing to not overnight. And in 2014, I mean, just building, he seemed to get better every year. He had 88 catches for about 1,300 yards and 15 or 16 touchdowns. I remember he led the league in touchdowns that year. I mean, he was an offensive force. He was a number 1, number 2, number 3 draft pick if you were in a PPR league, because he was that dominant. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe he was more like top 6, top 7. He was dominant. He was great. And then started in 2015, played only 9 games, was on pace for maybe 750 yards. Never was good after that. Never was good after 2014. That 2014 season was his age 26 season. So that alone was kind of okay, this is weird. I don't think it's interesting. It's weird. It's weird that 3 guys who were so dominant, who could literally take over your fantasy team in all the best ways, you had them on your team and you struck gold in any given week, they could give you 25 points. I mean, to have that kind of magic on your team made them special, and all 3 just plummeted due to injuries and other impacts after their age 26 season. So again, that alone, not a big deal. It's weird. But then I looked at last season. Last season, I wanted to see, okay, who the top, the guys who got the most receiving yards among wide receivers. How old were they? And I look at it, and I'm just going to run down this list. Jamar Chase, age 24 season. Justin Jefferson, 25. Brian Thomas, 22. Drake London, 23. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 25. Jerry Jeudy, 25. Malik Neighbors, 21. CeeDee Lamb, 25. Ladd McConkey, 23. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 22. Garrett Wilson, 24. Top 11 guys, not quite 26, which is a little odd because you could only, if you go back 5 years earlier to 2019, most of the top 11 were 26 or older. Among wide receivers, you had previously mentioned Michael Thomas was 26, Julio Jones 30, Chris Godwin 23, Devontae Parker 26, Keenan Allen 27, Kenny Golladay 26, Amari Cooper 25, DJ Moore 22, Travis Landry 27, DeAndre Hopkins 27, and Cooper Kupp 26. Those were the top 11. And if you go down even further to Mike Evans, Allen Robinson, Robert Woods, and Stephon Diggs, and then Julian Edelman, those next 5 on the list, all 26 or older. Almost all of those guys were 26 or older. Chris Godwin was one exception. Amari Cooper was another exception. And that was it for the top 16 wide receivers in receiving yards. And then you could also go back to, I went back 5 years earlier. I was like, let's just keep going back 5 years because I'm really curious. Is this a generational thing? Is this something that just happens to wide receivers? And so if you look at 2014, so 10 seasons ago, if you start with 2024, the players are Antonio Brown, Demaryius Thomas, Julio Jones, Jordy Nelson, Emmanuel Sanders, T.Y. Hilton, Golden Tate, Dez Bryant, Jeremy Maclin, Odell Beckham Jr., Randall Cobb. And of those guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the first 9, 7 of the top 9 in terms of receiving yards were 26 or older. So I'm not going to read off every single year, and I haven't gone through every single year. I went back 5 years, and I went back 10 years because I just wanted to get a sense. Because I don't know what this means yet. It may not mean anything again, but it is very odd to me that we're in this little, perhaps micro era of fantasy football where there's all these incredible wide receivers who are all 25 and younger, at least last season. That the Terry McLaurins and Cortland Suttons of the world are more the exception. That Devontae Adams and even, DeAndre Hopkins, not that we really talk about him in fantasy, Calvin Ridley, those guys, they're hanging on, right? Except for Hopkins, but they're kind of hanging on. But all of the top receivers in terms of receiving yards, and it extends largely to fantasy, are 25 or younger as of last year. It just seems a little weird. If you have any thoughts on it, I'd love to hear it. You can post on the blog, on Facebook blog. You can email me. One thought is, there are other guys who just dropped off a cliff, like in terms of production. I think Jeremy Maclin was 27. He went from being a perennial, fantasy starter to hurt, couldn't get back on track, done. Victor Cruz had serious injury. I think age 27 was his final year, and he never recovered after that. He could have been a true great for the Giants if he had stayed healthy. And I know we can talk about there's guys who are 23 and they get seriously hurt, and there's guys who are 30 and they get seriously hurt. What struck me is just the fact that we had three of, in the previous generation of fantasy, before this crop, the previous generation had arguably three guys who started their careers, or at least two guys who started their careers in ways that defied expectations between Beckham and Thomas. And Dez Bryant, I think it took him a year or two, and then he just became the best at his position, or one of the best at his position. And it's going to be interesting to see, let's say 2 years from now, heading into the 2027 season, if we look back at 2026 numbers, are we going to see that the top wide receivers were all 25 and younger? Or is this crop of receivers from Chase to Jefferson to Thomas and London and so on, are they just going to ride the wave and be great for several more years? And this is a big question for dynasty managers, by the way. This is kind of one of the angles I'm going for, is can we trust that these wide receivers are going to have the longevity that we come to expect from a lot of wide receivers who are great, with exceptions like Bryant, like Thomas, like Beckham. But a lot of wide receivers do play until 30, 31, 32 and play at pretty high levels, at least some of the great ones. So can we expect, what percentage of these great young wide receivers as of last year are going to make it past age 26 and still be great? That was Bryant, Thomas, and Beckham were the anomalies, along with some other anomalies? Or is this something where every mini generation, every micro generation of football, we've got a few guys who just, through injuries, through the natural course of events, are just never the same by the time they reach their mid-20s? It'll be interesting to see. Again, I don't know what to make of it, but dynasty managers should at least be aware of this statistical anomaly of last year's youth movement at wide receiver. And I can't wait to see what happens in 2 years. I'm BJ Riddell, Fantasy Football for Winners. Follow on the blog, post comments, email me at the Gmail account, sign up for rankings. I'm here for you. See you tomorrow.